Okay, so let's start our annual assembly. Nice to see so many people. I'm sorry for the mistake I've made with the confusion with the hours. It was the 11, 11, 11, 12. So sorry for that. But at the end, you are all here. That's the important thing. I will share my screen just to show you the agenda and the things we are going to do today. So our agenda, I hope we don't take more than 1 hour and a half maximum, or even less. So we will have an intervention by Ezio. Also, I will give an overview of the 4 years of the coordination, because this is the end of my second mandate. 4 years has passed quite fast. We will have a special moment with the presentation of 2 DESIS clusters that DESIS now have. And the new international coordinator and the presentation of the program, we will vote that, and we will have a collective discussion. And then, as you will do the closing remarks. So, as you, can I give the floor to you?
Yes. So, good day, everybody, and nice to be here together to see so many friendly faces. It will not be an intervention, it will be only a very short note, 2 short notes. The first one is just to say a little bit what for me is the spirit of this assembly. When we started 15 years ago, it's a century ago, we were in a totally different condition. So we perceived to be part of a general globalization, and we imagined that DESIS could be one tool to transform this globalization in a good globalization. Means a globalization that is the interaction in between different people, different culture, in the frame of recognizing that we are all part of the same human beings. Nowadays, we know that globalization is collapsing, and that globalization is being transformed in something that unfortunately, very unfortunately, is very near to be a kind of global war. And so our condition is totally diverse. So I think that, of course, our role could be the one of trying to maintain the conversation, to maintain and recognize the differences, but to transform the differences in a richness. But we are in a context that is far diverse from what it was 15 years ago. And I think that we have to be very conscious about that. It means that, in my view, we need something as DESIS more than before, but the very general way in which we have to do it is changed by the new condition. Given that, as I think I know that Teresa will tell you, DESIS is in good shape. We had a year with some problems, of course, as you know, but the very general situation is that we are alive, and in some way also growing by many point of view, and with some new thing that is happening. But I leave this to be told by Teresa. I want only to conclude this note saying that 2 years ago we decided not to have a kind of fixed manifesto that say what are our value and this the value forever, but to transform it in what we call a kind of statement to be updated every year, thanks to some conversation that we call the conversation for the planet, that had the role especially to continuously update what is the meaning of our existence in this moment. The last conversation 1 week ago was, the title was DESIS as a pluriversal contact zone. That means a place where different culture can meet. And I think that the title of that conference could be and should be, in my view, also the spirit of the new conference, of the new year and this assembly, and what is going to happen to become in this way a kind of agent of what we can do for peace. Because at the end of the day, for me, we have a lot of things to do in many different directions, and we will see. But the most general intention is to try to enter in this mad world in which we are, trying to be activist for a design for peace. Beyond that, as you know, given that Teresa is finishing his mandate, we have also to elect the new one. Probably you know, I hope that you know that we decided a long time ago not to have formal elections, but in some way to find during the year somebody that could be a good one to be the new coordinator, assuming that the coordinator is not a representative of the other, but is only inverted comma, the expression of this organization. And therefore we arrived to find a person and to be discussed in between many of us. And this will happen, and I will leave to Teresa to say more about that. And so thank you, and let's start the work.
Thank you, Ezio. So let me share again my screen. I would like to give an overview of 4 years. There were so many things that we did, and so many things that happened. As you probably all know, the international coordination team is composed by Ezio as a president, as myself as international coordinator, and then with Ana Afonso, that was with us in the first mandate, and then Gisela Pinheiro since the beginning. And without this team, it's almost impossible to run the DESIS network. So thanks to all of them. We have an international committee that is composed by Ezio, by Adam Thorpe from the UK, from Amresh Panikari from India, Carla Cipolla from Brazil, David Fassi from Italy, Eduardo Stazowski from USA, Louise Saint-Pierre from Canada, Lo Yonki from China, and Miaozen also from China, Halitza Debra from Ghana, myself, Virginia Tassinari, Netherlands, and we have an honorary founders committee, Anna Meroni. I don't know. Sorry, Anna, your name is with a mistake. And the network, we all know, is composed by the DESIS Lab. When we started this mandate in 2021, we were already a quite big network with 55 labs. In 2024, we are 68 labs. So I hope we continue to grow. As you said, this means that we are doing some meaningful and impactful work within our institutions and our schools and with our students. So I hope we can really continue to grow. During these two mandates, we had labs joining us from Cyprus, from Chile, India, Portugal, Spain, France, Mexico, Japan, Italy, Brazil, China, and Indonesia. I'm quite happy that in Portugal, for many years, it was the DESIS Lab that I founded. Right now, we are almost 4, maybe becoming 5 DESIS Labs, which means in a small country as Portugal, means social innovation and sustainability are taking the lead also in our institution. We also have a DESIS Labs to be, not yet concluded their affiliation, but I hope they will go for the next step in the application process. So I hope in 2025 we will have Guangzhou Academy of Fine Arts in China, University of Benin Interior in Portugal, Shandong University of Art and Design in China, and Bandung Institute of Technology in Indonesia. Welcome. I invited them to be present today. I hope they are here. And I hope you conclude the process and become a DESIS Lab next year. Also, as you stated, we started in 2020 in this idea of not having a manifesto, but having a statement that could be updated now and then, because we know the world changed quite fast, and the statements, if they are we don't revisit them now and then, they will be totally outdated. So in 2021, we have this collaborative process also open with all DESIS labs that contributed to this process of creating the DESIS statements. Then we update the statements in 22-23 with little small things, but they were quite important. And so with these statements that we hope to be a collaborative effort between all of us, we introduced in the beginning, it was this idea of reoriented the network towards a more sustainable way, as we were living in this climate emergency, and to try to orient not only for social innovation, but social innovation for sustainability. But then it was the topics like the peace, the wars that we are observing, also the migration, refugees. So all these topics were included in when we updated the statements. And of course, the idea is to continue to feed this conversation. And what we did, we proposed these conversations for the planet, which is a moment once or twice a year in a conversation between ESU and some other people, and moderated by someone that we usually invite, to create some food for thought and some discussion within our members. The first one was with Béatrice Gisclar from France. It was about the role of design for catastrophic situations. We had another one in the beginning of this year with John Takara and ESU, which was moderated by Louise Saint-Pierre. It was about biodiversity and bioregionalism. And the last one, as you said, we had with Aguinaldo dos Santos from Brazil about the pluriverse. And there are two people that I want to admit, but I can't because I'm sharing I don't know if Gisela can admit these two people, two members. And so these conversations are really important moments. They were streamed on YouTube, so whenever you want, you can revisit if you didn't have the opportunity to see the conversations. As you revisit the other day, the other one, I said, oh, it was really interesting. In fact, when we go back and we look at these conversations, we can try to reorient ourselves and the network and the work we've been developing in our DESIS labs according to these meaningful and fruitful discussions. Another thing that we started during my coordination, it was the DESIS Café. So the idea was, as you said so many times in the beginning, we were some friends, but then the network was growing and growing, and suddenly we don't know anymore each other or what we are doing. So the idea was to promote every 2 months informal moment where people could talk to each other and share what they were doing. We can share knowledge and try to understand also how can we really being connected as a network. So we started in 21. It was the DESIS I was coordinating that started this DESIS Café. Then we went to Michigan, to Madrid, to Ohio, and it was quite interesting that the DESIS Café, you can host a DESIS Café, or just need to step forward and say, I want to organize one. The first ones to step forward was the new ones, which was quite interesting because they wanted for us to know what they were developing in their labs. The Northumbria also organized a DESIS Café, Santiago del Chile, Mexico, then Zaragoza, Vancouver, in Cyprus, Yangnan University, DESIS Lab, the Arctic Design Lab in Lapland, also DESIS Q in Japan. And the last one, it was Politecnico di Milano. It was the first DESIS lab in the network. So it was interesting to see the work they have developed during all these years. So I think that the DESIS Cafe, it's really an important moment. They are all also in the YouTube channel of the network, and it has given space for people to get to know each other. And in fact, it gave rise to also the creation of new clusters, because people see they have common points, seeing what the other labs are doing, and people get to go together. Another important thing that we did, we signed a MOU with Cumulus during so many conferences, that I think it's important that DESIS get outside of the network. So we have also a stage where we can be heard. We were organizing some initiatives within the Cumulus conference, and now we organize in a more systemic way. So we organized one in Rome in 2021. It was an hybrid session. We have quite some people also collaborating with us in this seminar. Another one, it was during the Cumulus in Detroit, conversation between Ezio and Arturo Escobar. And then we had Anna Meroni, Lorenzo, Anna Bernagozzi, Jonathan Ventura, Maria Luisa Rossi, and Cynthia Smith. They were talking about, it was really a moment when the war started with Ukraine. And the idea was to talk about peace. We had another event, another seminar during the Cumulus in Beijing in China. We invited people also to be online participating and sharing their experiences during this seminar. We had also some local people attending and sharing their experiences with their communities, thanks to Miaozen that managed to organize and invite those people. We had an interesting seminar during the Cumulus conference in Budapest, and we were talking about the role of international networks, creating bridges and promoting diversity. And it was quite interesting, also hybrid event. And within this, we started this discussion in Beijing, but then it was official during the Cumulus Budapest. We created a working group that was an idea from Bori and Jonathan Ventura. So Bori is from Hungary and Jonathan from Israel. They are the founders of the Social Design Network, and they want to start a working group on the impact of social design for education. And so we decided to bring the two networks together, and with the important contribution of Cecilia Casas Romero, that has been working with Bori and Jonathan, we have this Cumulus working group within the Cumulus Association. So. And with all these conversations, all these events, people had the opportunity to get together, to meet face-to-face also during the seminars in the Cumulus conference. And what happened is that something has started, and we now have two thematic clusters. So one is designed from the margins, which is led by Cecilia and Francesco Mazzarella, and also DESIS More Than Human Research Cluster with Louis Saint-Pierre and Francesco Vergani. And I think these are two important things that we have in DESIS. I will give the floor to them to present the cluster to the rest of you. So I will start with Cecilia and Francesco Mazzarella. I will stop sharing my screen and give the floor to Cecilia, and then to the other cluster.
Thank you. I will start the first part of the presentation and then Cecilia will take over. So thanks, Teresa. And actually, some of the things we're going to share were already mentioned by you, but we'll try to give our perspective from our cluster. So hi, everyone. My name is Francesco Mazzarella. I'm based at the UAL DESIS Lab at the University of the Arts London in London. I will give this brief overview about our DESIS cluster, Design from the Margins, which is a collaboration between Center for Sustainable Fashion, where I'm based, and the ESDA DESIS Lab in Zaragoza, where Cecilia is based. Next slide, Cecilia, please. Yes, thank you. So myself and Cecilia started this cluster in 2023, so last year. Initially, it was called Design, Practice and Education in bringing the aim of this cluster is actually to focus on design education that brings students together with marginalized communities. And also we started by exploring the concept of vulnerability, but actually from the first call when we invited other members of DESIS Lab, we reframed this cluster as design from the margins, really putting the emphasis on marginalized communities, which is actually where exciting opportunities for social innovation emerge. So the intention of this cluster is to create a safe space for members of the DESIS network to share experiences, foster networking opportunities and collaboration towards producing certain outputs. So in this cluster, we are focusing on the implications of this work for social design, both in education and in practice, but also to identify commonalities, differences, and pathways for future work. For instance, through workshops, talks, collaborative projects, publications, exhibitions, and so on. So we'd like to share some experiences that can inform the framing of a set of approaches, mindsets, which we can develop when we teach social design for social innovation, bringing together students and marginalized communities. Next slide, Cecilia. So far, in the past year, we had 5 meetings online. We have a yearly event in person at ESDA in Zaragoza in Spain. So we had one last March, and we are meeting again in Spain in March 2025. We had a special supplement of the Discern journal published very recently. I will share the link in the chat. Discern is a journal founded by Nikos and Ana Ferreira, also members of DESIS, but Cecilia guest edited this special issue with contributions from different members from our working group, from our cluster. And we have started to collate case studies on social design educational interventions that will feed into a future publication or exhibition. And then, as Teresa mentioned, we have also partnered with Cumulus. So we created this partnership between Cumulus and DESIS. So myself, Cecilia, as well as Bori Feher and Jonathan Ventura have created this Cumulus working group on design education for social change, which is to a certain extent overlaps with our DESIS cluster, but it's also an opportunity to widen the reach of our work, also by collaborating with Cumulus members. Also, yeah, Teresa mentioned this. We had 2 contributions to Cumulus events, Cultures of Care and Bridging Networks. Next slide. So this is a snapshot of the very first meeting we had online last year, where we launched the DESIS cluster, inviting members of the DESIS community to join. And that was a critical moment for actually also framing the focus of this cluster on design from the margins. Next slide. So initially, actually, how we work is that often when we have an online meeting, we send initially an online form for members to respond to a call or a topic they would like to explore, inviting people to share their experiences and real examples of how these topics relate to their work. The very first one was about reframing the concept of vulnerability. But actually, we soon realized that we want to take a more asset-based approach. So rather than highlighting the weaknesses or limitations of vulnerable people, we actually highlighted the opportunities for social innovation that can emerge from the margins. The third meeting was focusing on this concept of being caught in the crossfire. And then in September 2024, we had a meeting on the topic of designers parachuted into marginalized communities and what happens when we have to deal with different power dynamics in places in these collaborative processes. Next. And then very recently, we had a meeting on the 29th of November where we started to collate case studies. So we invited members of our cluster to submit through the online form real projects of their social design educational interventions, bringing students together with people from the margins. And we are continuing this work in January. There will be the next meeting where we'll continue to collect case studies and the discussion around this. Next, is this still me, Cecilia? I think maybe yes. So as we mentioned, Cecilia is based at the DESIS lab in Zaragoza, and she organizes together with her team an in-person event every year. So in March 2024, we had 7 members from DESIS labs around the world that we contributed to this event. As you can see here, there was myself, Lorraine Gamman, also from UAL, Nikos Souleles from Cyprus, Susan Melsop from the States, Yankee Lee from Colding, and many others. And we had a series of keynote speeches, workshops, panel debate, and also interactions with students in the local community. Next. And then as an output from that, we have produced this special supplement of the Discern Journal with contributions from members of the DESIS cluster that participated at the DESIS Social Design Days in Zaragoza in Spain. And I will share the link into the chat. And I think next slide is for Cecilia, right? Is it correct, Cecilia, or is it still me? I'm happy to continue or pass over.
Okay, I take it. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Cecilia Casas. Many of you already know me and Francesco. And now I'm going to follow with the presentation of our DESIS cluster from the margin, design from the margins. Thank you, Francesco, and thank you, Teresa, for your help and support. Then, a Cumulus Working Group, as Teresa said, is another branch of the cluster and also of DESIS, of course, which was co-founded in 2023 by Social Design Networks and DESIS clusters, as said Teresa. We had the first in-person meeting in Cumulus Budapest in May. Afterwards, we have presence also in Cumulus Monterrey and one online workshop celebrated the 2nd December, not so far ago. The foreseeable plans are another meeting in April and one in person at Cumulus in Nantes. What we are doing in here is we were working right now in a glossary about design education in social change. Okay. As also said Teresa, we have participated so far in 2 DESIS events in Cumulus, one in Beijing, which was about cultures of care, and another one in Budapest about bridging networks, where in here was where actually raised the idea for the next for what was going to be the next e-meeting in the DESIS cluster, which was a talk about being caught in the crossfire. Also, as they say, we participate in Conversation for the Planet, and we are struggling with the other cluster, Francesco Vergani and etc., to see if we can have sometimes in somewhere a website in which everybody can put their post and news. And then the interesting part of this is in the way in which our activity has evolved. And that before the last meeting, prompted by Ethio, we decided to make a shift in the way we worked. This what we started doing was working on theoretical concepts and issues, and then afterwards generating debate in our e-meetings, in our online meetings. But we realized that the cluster needed to have a name. as I said, fostered by Ezio. And we thought about an exhibition in 2 years' time. By now, what we are doing is collecting case studies of social design education. And we'll start analyzing these case studies transversally to find common themes. Next year, we plan to have 4 e-meetings. One will be the 27th of January, then one in May, another one in September, another one in November, and one in-person event in Zaragoza. These are the 7 dwarfs of last year event. We had the opportunity of having here Nikos from Chipre, Kanan from Denmark. Also, we have not named her before. Also, Susan Melsop from the DESIS Lab in Ohio. Of course, Lorraine Gaman, Janky Lee, Bori Fecker, who is from Social Design Network. And is in the working group with us, in the Cumulus working group. And then we had also Francesco, I guess he's doing the photo, he's making the picture. Okay, then, okay, now a little bit of, if I may, a little bit of quick advertisement. DESIS Days, an annual event in which we exchange experiences. We do networking, and we meet around this topic that encourages our work, and it's a bit also addictive. And we spend 2 days talking about this all the time. Last year we have these 7 brilliant brains, and I must say it's not an ordinary conference. We have talks, we have workshops, walks in the quarter, students showcase of their last works, and so on. Then this year, the event will take place on the 13th and 14th of March, and I can anticipate that we will have Davide Fassi from Polini DESIS Lab. He's the coordinator of the first DESIS Lab ever, founded by Ezio, and also Ralitza, both as keynote speakers. Ralitza also will come. Well, I'm not gonna talk more. And then 2 workshops, one delivered by Lorraine Gaman and Francesco on transformative change, and the other one by Anna and Letzi, addressed to students, one addressed to teachers and the other one to students. And also we will have a performance in the quarter, the deprived quarter, which is in the other side of the river of Esda, on design activism for peace. So if you decide to come, I can give information for accommodation, trains, etc. And also I can send an invitation letter if it's useful to raise grant or funding from your universities to come to Zaragoza in Spain those days. And just to finish, I want you to tell you, if you want to join the cluster, just send a message to esda.desislab@esda.es, and we will include you in the mailing list so you can join the meetings and be aware of all that's happening in and around the cluster. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Cecilia. Fantastic work you have been doing. I see that Francesco Vergani also has arrived. Francesco, are you ready to present the cluster?
Hello, yes.
Hello.
Open the presentation. Sorry for being late, but okay. Please let me know if you see it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So
But we have also something saying that
you're right.
yeah, okay.
Now, is it okay now?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So hello to everybody, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to briefly introduce the second new cluster. I am the one presenting today, but let's say that this is a ship ready to sail that it was carefully built by Louis Saint-Pierre from Emily Carr DESIS Lab and myself from Polini DESIS Lab. Tokushu Inamura from the DESIS Q Lab, and Francesca Valsecchi from Tonji DESIS Lab. So this cluster basically arises from a pressing need that is strictly tied to an ecological emergency that in so many ways impacts us, not only as designers, but more importantly as beings. So while we are all aware of the environmental challenges we must face, we most of the times remain in many ways too static and unable to act. So, however, building upon a phrase that HU shared with us several years ago, whether to take into account the ecological emergency is no longer a design choice, it is more of a first one. And in some ways, we have to find a way to move beyond this, let's call it inertia. So building on the ecological emergency and also the great work our colleagues from the Design from the Margins cluster are advancing, unfortunately, we continue to witness issues such as marginalization, power dynamics, and segregation as well. So these issues are highly visible when discussing human communities. But the question is, what happens if we expand our perspective to include a wider communities like in this picture we are envisioning? So Design for Social Innovation has a long-standing goal of empowering communities, but also enhancing the quality of life, promoting social justice, amplifying sustainable lifestyles through the development of impactful services, products, and systems. But again, what happens when the concept of community expands to include other beings? And with other beings, we are talking about living beings, but also non-living beings. So plants, animals, but also entities as big as rivers that so many times don't have a voice and tend to be completely excluded or marginalized from the social life. So what happens if we try to listen to these voices, these unheard voices, while they are expressing their agency? So as a matter of fact, we do have to recognize that the world is not a man-made product, but it's more of a collective. It's a terrestrial assemblage that is constantly built and designed by all beings we have on our planet. So by designing with all beings, that's the main aim of this cluster, we want to expand our efforts by zooming out our perspective and looking at the world, as you can see here, as a single entity. This planet is complex and is a synergistic system that is made of assemblages, again, of different beings that are not just thriving and coexisting, but they're also competing a lot. This is the challenge that, in our view, the field of design must embrace. So, on one hand, the world is evolving into a human artifact, let's say, often disregarding the intrinsic connection that humans, that is part of the animal species, have and must continue to nurture. While on the other, there is a growing recognition of the interdependence among different life forms and the need for a broader perspective on planetary agency. And in order to take this, let's say, second path, we have to go beyond conventional human-centered perspectives. We have to embrace the active involvement of other beings in the design process and in the design outcomes. That is, in few words, trying to decenter our perspective, attuning to others, but also slowing down our processes by acknowledging that the world is made of different behaviors, different point of view, different temporalities as well. So with this cluster, we want to let emerge these community-centered experiences that explore coexistence and also negotiations between humans and other beings. As a matter of fact, we, more than humans, as we call them, play a crucial role in the experience of the everyday life of humans by exerting influence, but also constraints, and having a huge impact across social, physical, psychological, but also spiritual, and so many other dimensions on a daily basis. So in a sense, by quoting the design theories and Mary Willis, they act and design us back. So they influence our practice, our behavior, and our own life. So I'm afraid that sometimes we often forget this connection we have. So again, other questions naturally arises. I'm afraid that at this stage we have more questions than answers. Like something like what kind of new social structures can be envisioned in order to promote and support coexistence between beings, but also what are the challenges and as well as criticalities in recognizing an active role for other beings while ensuring their representativeness. But also, how can we expand this very concept of community within design for social innovation? This is basically the starting point for us. So it's like the harbor from which we wish to embark on this journey together. The cluster is intended to be a collective effort to gather worldwide experiences of social innovation that takes into consideration other beings and to reflect also on the needs and the implication of this new context. So as previously mentioned, Design for Social Innovation has the opportunity in this sense to expand the very essence of community by supporting the needs of all the others. It can help to uncover novel collective structures, but also coalitions that acknowledge the intricacies of living, coexisting, thriving together. So in this light, this new cluster aims to bring these different sensitivities and perspectives within the DESIS network, but also beyond, let's say, by sharing these experiences and also ongoing projects, ongoing research that deal with this idea of expanded communities, but also more than human representation, multi-species cohabitations, and so other things connected to the topic of the cluster. As you can see, we are thrilled to say that even before setting the sail, this cluster has already gained the attention of more than 40 people across more than 10 DESIS labs around the world. And we're not just talking about DESIS labs, as I mentioned before, which is something truly fantastic from our perspective, and we cannot wait to embark on this journey together. So shortly, you will find a link in the chat, which we will also let circulate, let's say, among our contacts. So if you're interested in being part of the cluster, in bringing your perspective, your experiences on this topic, we invite you to share your experiences and the practices you have. So in the coming weeks, we will provide you with further information about the next steps. And as you can see here from this email, for any information, for any other thing you want to ask us, please feel free to contact us at these two emails, and we will be more than happy to provide you with additional information. So this ship is about to sail, and we hope to have you on board. So thank you very much for listening, and we hope it will be a great journey together.
Thank you very much, Francesco and Tokusho and Francesca. Louise unfortunately can't be here today. Thank you for the fantastic work you have been doing with the cluster. I think later on we will have the opportunity also to open the discussion with the rest of the members. I will now would like to give the floor to Halitza for her to present her program for the next coordination. Halitza, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Teresa, and happy to be here. And yeah, so it's been such a beautiful journey with DESIS over a decade now. And I'm excited to be part of the international coordination for the next. And I'm excited to share some of the ideas that we've been talking about with our team. And yeah, so thank you all for your wonderful presentations, and I'm happy to see your familiar faces, and hopefully with the others, we'll keep connecting, and we would hopefully meet sometime through our programs and engaging activities. So I'm Ralitza Debra, and I'm from Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And I'm very excited to be part of DESIS network. And yeah, so today I'm sharing our activities. So Teresa, on the next slide. Yeah, so for the proposal, the overview, we are looking at these core areas and the initiatives that we've already started or is ongoing. We hope to actually deepen that. So you would see as we go through the slides to see how we are going to work around it. Yes. So on the next slide, the idea of this proposal actually builds on what has been done over the years and also what Teresa has also been working on. And we are actually looking at continuing with what we are doing and also open up possibility for new ideas to emerge. So the idea is for us to continue to maintain our foundation of collaboration, inclusivity, and also sustainability. And again, we also want to continue with all these projects that we already have and integrate issues around environmental, ecological, and justice-based goals, and continue to foster our collaborations beyond our network. And with all your engagement, we'll be able to do that as we go on. And on the next slide, our core objectives is to continue to promote justice and inclusivity. And more importantly, we want to open our doors to areas and regions which are actually underrepresented to also come into the space, space and also share their projects with us. And so with time, we would also encourage you to encourage other regions that you know that they could also benefit from our work that we are doing here to come and join the network. And again, we would like to explore themes such as design for the pluriverse. And you remember for Conversation for the Planet, we spoke about these ideas. And also deepen our engagements around decolonizing design, social innovation, and critically reflects on all these dimensions, because every context we have different worldviews about this, but the idea is to provoke the discussion and for us to see what we made, and probably we could even have newer clusters forming, and that is the beauty about being part of the DESIS organization. So on the we want to also, like I mentioned, strengthen our DESIS network connection. And through our ongoing DESIS Cafe, we will continue to open up the space for us to share our problems, projects, and also reflections on what we are doing in different regions. Because through the cafe, as Teresa has shared, from the different institutions and regions, we can see the great work that everyone is doing. So we'll continue and then reinforce this collaboration so that we can have more projects being shared and even curate some of them into books, because we had a few books that we put together, and we'll continue with that so that we can have some of these projects curated, because from time to time we have new projects coming in. So it's a great idea for us to do that. And like we said, the DESIS Cafe also gives chance for people who have not been part of the network to also share what the ideas are. So it's a great place for us to have our conversations, and we'll continue with that. So on the next slide, expanding our ecosystem engagement. And like we said, we will continue to encourage new members to join the network. And some we need to mentor as we go. So it's a good space for us to keep expanding our network and our engagement. So on the next slide, our key initiatives such as the Conversation for the Planet, and we had a great time with Arginado, and we hope that we'll continue that in the coming years. And we'll be knocking on your doors to nominate some members that you know to be part of these conversations. And so, yeah, on the next slide, we spoke about this, of course, so we'll continue with that as well. And the cluster formation. Thank you, Francesco Vegani and Francesco Mazzarella, Cecilia, and your team. I'm still learning the fantastic Italian names, so forgive me. We thank you for sharing your clusters, and we hope that you continue with your project. It's exciting. And at the same time, we'll welcome new proposals and encourage more innovative work to emerge. So we even know that beyond your activities, some of the students maybe want to take some of these projects further. So for that fact, we also want to encourage the DESIS students, but we'll verify and allow people to talk about how we can proceed again with the DESIS student, because we believe that DESIS students have a place in our network. So we will think through to see how we can reactivate that. So it's all part of our supporting existing initiatives such as the philosophy talk. And of course, we would discuss that further as well and activate that, and also continue to promote similar initiatives that are being done by DESIS Network. And we also want to encourage regional dialogues as well, that we should really energize that so that members within their regions can continue with their local engagements, because we don't want it to only be through the DESIS Cafe and our Conversations for the Planet, etc. The only time for us to talk about this, but give the opportunity for people to deepen their engagement with the regional dialogues. Again, we would like to also enhance our visibility and continue promoting our network through our newsletters, social media engagements, and give the space to promote your works as well. And we encourage that anytime you do your projects, please tag DESIS so that it will get into our feed when you share on the social media networks as well. So yeah, so on the next slide, we can only do this through all your collaboration and then participation. And so together we can actually build a more inclusive and impactful network through your help. So let's make it happen. And thank you so much for listening. And together with our new team, and they are online, so I'll mention their names: Benjamin, Matthew, Bernice, and Clement, Richard, all of you, a wave. And thank you for joining, and we appreciate you, and together we can make this happen. Thank you so much. Teresa, over to you.
Thank you, Khalitsa. Thank you very much. So I will open now the floor for us to have a discussion, any questions, any debates that we want to have here about the things that have been developed during these 4 years with your help and your support. Without you, it's impossible to have things happening in the network. Also the clusters and the proposal of Khalitsa. Anyone? No? After 4 years of work and these two amazing clusters and the presentation of Khalitsa, no one wants to...
Can I say something?
Nikos, yes, of course. Hi, Nikos.
It's hello, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure where everybody is. Here it's early afternoon where I am. Just a suggestion to throw on the table. Some of you already know that I worked with Ana Ferreira on Discern, and some DESIS members have taken advantage of that, and we, of course, we welcome that. So, for example, recently, Francesco edited a whole version of Discern not too long ago on a specific topic of interest, never mind. And also recently, our friend Cecilia published the proceedings of her last DESIS, what was it, Social Design Days, ESDA Social Design Days in Zaragoza. And these are initiatives that we welcome. Now, I haven't had the chance to discuss this very deeply with Ana Ferreira, but I hope she forgives me for what I'm going to say, that just to throw this on the table, that is, okay, that the journal not only welcomes individual contributions from DESIS members, of course we do, that's obviously something we definitely support. But we also, to the point possible, we would like to suggest that, you know, the journal could be more involved in DESIS work. And just to throw that on the table, that if you wanted some form of more deep collaboration with the journal and DESIS, we would welcome that. I mean, it's a vehicle that is there to be used, and some of you know it's completely open access and free. So I'm just throwing this in the hope that it can progress beyond the individual contributions of DESIS members, and perhaps there is another role that we can play here, you know. Anyway, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikos. Of course, this is a huge opportunity for the network and for the DESIS labs and all the researchers that are working on this topic. So thank you very much. Anna, ciao.
Ciao, happy to be here, and very quickly to say that we are touched every time we see a new coordinator, international coordinator coming in. I used to be the first one, and I know it's a big issue, a big possibility. It's a big, it's also emotional because you can see, you can do things. At that time, we were pretty few. Now it's a huge network. So also the responsibility, of course, grows and increases. And it means also to consider the voice, really multiple voices coming up. And this is, I mean, it's something that it is not only a matter of the different research fields that can be created and the clusters and so on, but also try to, would be nice also to try to understand if we want a strategy as a DESIS network, and now that we are a very huge number of people. So maybe this can be also something that is part of what we will discuss with Relitza and the next bunch of group of coordinators and supporting the management of DESIS. So it could be, for instance, also time to make more, to raise the voice also in a more political way, if you like, and to take positions, as it's said in the beginning. Unfortunately, the world is not really going in the direction that we hope to see soon, taking the word, but let's see very modestly and very humbly how we can also contribute to shaping a bigger dialogue that is not only within us. So good luck, and thank you, Teresa, for the amazing work that you have done. Amazing work you have done, really, thank you.
It was built also on the shoulders of big ones like you and Carla. So I think if we continue this collaboration, because in fact it's a kind of voluntary work with the goodwill of all of us that are working in our institutions and developing with our students and our teams the social innovation and sustainability. So as long as we are here, I think the world probably is a better place. Let's continue to do this, and thank you for your words, Anna. Do we have any more people that would like to say something?
Maybe, can I?
Yeah, of course.
I put it in the chat, but it's okay. Since there is some space, I can also talk. Yes, I support Nikos in saying that actually I found the Discern journal very useful. And in fact, I contributed twice this year. But we were at the UAL DESIS lab, which have been established for a long time. I know it sounds it looks maybe not very much active, but we are actively reactivating it. And we were wondering where there is still an opportunity for the DESIS International Network to support publications. I know in the past, in fact, I also edited a DESIS booklet, which and I've received an ISBN number from DESIS. So I wonder what the plans are for the network in terms of supporting publications. Or also, I remember in the past, the DESIS Facebook group was promoting publications of DESIS members. Is it something that still exists? And if so, are we still encouraged to send our publications maybe to Ralitza for those to be promoted? And then another comment I had in the chat was that I understand and I really support the new, well, of course, the work of the clusters. I'm part of one of them, and also the new focus on the design for the pluriverse or decolonizing design. But beyond these two new initiatives, I also wonder what is, it sounds like the proposal for the new international coordination is pretty much similar to what has been happening, which is also okay. But I was also curious to know critically what has not worked so well in the previous coordination that maybe we want to let go of in order to leave and create more space for new things that are increasingly original and relevant. I'm hoping I'm making sense. And sorry for the long
Yeah. Thank you, Francesco. It's hard to run a network like this when you don't have a structured team. For instance, in this case, we were in 4 in the beginning, and then we unfortunately lost Anna in the second mandate. So it was me and Giselle. And of course, beside the fact that we all have our work, for instance, in 2023, it was a terrible year for me because I lost my father, so it was really hard. And if it was not for Ezio and Gisela that, you know, with the help of some labs, continue to have the work of the coordination on, it's really difficult. And then you have to be structured because, in fact, you have to publish everything on social media or having the website that, for instance, we designed the website, but as we don't have any funding, it was like a volunteer work from a student, and now we are facing some technical problems that we can't manage to fix. And I hope that now Khalitza and we will manage to put it. So there are some issues that are not quite easy when you are running a network based on this voluntary work, of course. But I think the transition between Anna and then to Carla, and then from Carla to me, and now we want to do a smooth transition, also helping each other during some periods, so we are not going to totally disappear. There's a huge background of knowledge that is already done. But of course, we need the support from the DESIS labs and from all people, you know, to continue the network, to have this visibility. And it's not easy. And as you know, and as you is pushing all the time, and if it was not for the willing that as you has to continue the network, sometimes we are just like fall asleep, and then we need to shake and put everything. So for instance, the DESIS Cafe, I think it was a good idea to reconnect, you know, to have people getting together and showing what they are doing. If not, it seems that we are not doing anything, and we are all doing a lot of things. Like you were saying, Francesco, your DESIS lab, probably people think you are not doing some stuff, and you are doing a lot of stuff, but you don't have any visibility. So the idea of the network is also to do this. So if Khalitza finds a way also to give more visibility to the labs, it's great. Ezio, do you want to say something about this? You need to unmute your...
Yes, I can say something. I don't know if this, it cannot be the conclusion. Maybe somebody will react to what I'm saying. So do not take it as a conclusion. But yes, I am very happy to say something. So first of all, I have to thank Ralitza because as has been said by Anna, Roni before, and Teresa, it's not a simple work to be done. And so we have discussed, with many people, so we try to understand each other. And given that she's now the one that will be, I hope, so if nothing happens, elected to be the new international coordinator, I think that this is a fantastic news. And it's not only because everybody that knows Ralitza know how beautiful person she is, really. but also because in some way, if I can say, Ralitza, you are a little bit also symbolic of what we want to do. So we really want to decentrate. So we started from the beginning as DESIS having more or less worldwide. For some reason, we started with some more activity in Europe, but we started from the beginning with China, Africa, South America, and North America. So we started international. But now we have to make a kind of step toward being not only international, but being, if I can use this term, pluriversal. That means it's not only to connect in between somebody that maybe is very strong and somebody else that is not so strong, but as a conversation in between different points of view, and try to, in some way, recognize the point of view, give voice to the differences, more than we have been able to do until now. So by this point of view, I am sure that the choice that we are going to have together is very important, not only, as I said, because Ralitza is fantastic, independently from the fact that she's from Africa, but also we have to tell it also because she's come from Africa. So we want to tell the story and tell it very, very strongly. Another issue that I'm super happy because, as Teresa was said, sometimes we can be a little bit more sleepy. Sometimes we have some technical problems. We had some technical problems, unfortunately. But we said, we are always asking ourselves, are we still alive? Do we want to go on? There is a meaning. Maybe somebody of you remember that some years ago now, we said, should we go on? Given that at the beginning, this was to spread the voice, that we could have design in relation to social innovation. Nowadays, not thanks to us, but maybe also thanks to us, all the good schools in the world have some activity in the field of connecting design and social change. So by a certain point of view, our first mission is over. So we are not here now to tell the story that design should have something to do with social innovation because it's already happening. But what we recognize is that once that we recognize that there is this kind of activity, we have to generate some new knowledge about it. We have to continually update what is the meaning of this. And therefore we decide that the issue about DESIS mission was not to grow and to spread the voice, but to go a little bit more in depth. Therefore, I'm super happy that we have some new DESIS lab that are arriving and they are welcome, and so it's fantastic. But our main goal is not to grow now, but to produce some new knowledge. And the fact that we have these two clusters, you cannot imagine how happy it makes me. Because these two clusters has not been pushed from the center, that means from the international coordinator or myself, but they happen. And they happen thanks to the mechanism in DESIS. They happen because we have DESIS Cafe that are so simple, but they permit to meet people. And afterward, maybe also some conversation for the planet. That has been the moment in which something has been started to be recognized in between us. And they are totally autonomous in some way, in the best spirit of DESIS, because DESIS it's only a network, nothing more than a network. And the network is there only to connect people, and after the people have to be capable to do what they want to do. So also the structure that we have, so there is a lot of work to be done, but it's not on the shoulder of the international coordinator to organize and to develop the clusters, to start the new clusters. The cluster had to start by themselves, as it's happening. And beyond this, even though we could, and I hope that we could have new clusters, and I really hope that they will happen, but these two are very, again, symbolic in some way of the new, what we want to be, more than we have been before. Because if we want to be this kind of, to quote again our friend Arturo, the pluriversal contact zone. The pluriversal contact zone means place where we can put together different point of view. And in this case, we have how we put together, without moralism, somebody that are middle class, with as the professor and the teacher and the students, mainly the majority of the students at least, and people that are really on the margin. So it's easy to be said that we should do it, but it's very difficult to be done. So we are really trying to understand what is the meaning and what how much slippery is also this kind of ground. And the same thing is the pluriversal point of view is also, inverted comma, the point of view of the non-living and non-human and non-living entities. And what does it mean? So it's easy to be said, but we can also make some theory, but afterward, what really mean to do it? So I find that these two clusters are not only very good because they are very in line with what DESIS should do, but also they focus two topics that are the ones that we need now to redefine the area in which what we call social innovation and design for social innovation should apply. So I think that this is has been a very lucky that we had people that met themselves and start this kind of work. Also, and I conclude with the methodology, because both the topic are largely discussed in a very theoretical way. So far for me to be against the theoretical discussion. So I think the theoretical discussions are very important, but there are different ways of developing this theory. And both the cluster are, in my view, very emblematic again of a way of being a design researcher, producing design knowledge, thanks to observing what happens in the reality of some projects. So we are not moving from project because we want to be practitioner at every, no, but because there is a way to extract new knowledge that is the designerly knowledge that comes only observing what happens with all the limits. So I think that it's not only important because these two clusters are very interesting, particularly important in this moment, but because they both choose a methodology to work that is a methodology that is very focused on very difficult theoretical issue, but moving from the observation of what happens. And I think that this could be a very important contribution for us and for the design in general, to really develop some designerly knowledge based on the observation of the reality. Of course, we will try to make some publication, and this is up to Relisa, its team, and we have to help. It's also a very good story. It is one of about the journal proposed by Nikos, so we will think about it. We have a lot of technical issue to be done, but I think that to do journal, to do books, booklets, or whatever, you need to have contents. And I really have the impression that we will have some contents, at least from these two new clusters, and hopefully from also some new ones that will appear. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to Teresa, of course, very much for what she did in these 4 years. Thanks to all the previous one, Davide, Carla, Anna, and yeah. The world is, as we said, in a very bad shape, but if we have some nice faces, as I see here, and friendly faces, all wanted to do some good activities, well, there is a window of hope.
Thank you, Ezio. Thank you all for all the support during these 4 years. I will continue here, of course. I want to just to let you know that I will be supporting Khalitsa during this transition period, And of course, the network is the work of all of us. So whenever you need something from my side, I would like to thank Ana Afonso. She's here, and Gisela, because without both of them, it was almost impossible to arrive here. So thank you very much, and thank you, Ezio, also for your support. And thank you to all of you from the clusters to the working group to everything you've been doing for the network. For me, it was really a privilege and an honor to serve the network for this past 4 years. So let's keep in touch. And yes, Celia?
Can I say something? Because I didn't find a way to raise my hand virtually.
Yeah.
No, I just want to thank you for all these years. You came to DESIS when you were already there. I must say the DESIS Cafe was super useful to meet people, and all your support, of course, Etios también, but it's been very, 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 I want to thank you because your support has been super important to develop all the international work we are doing here from this super small school. I remember the first DESIS days when you arrived, and also Adam were there for the first time. And I just want to say that if there's something I like from DESIS, is that it's always here and now. I mean, we are always with the things that are really happening in the world. Even if we try to be theoretical, and also we were talking about social, or you were talking about social innovation when it was the time to do so. Then afterwards, we are talking about giving voice to the marginalized, to nature also, and now about the pluriverse. I think it's all, this is what I like more, but that's something that's happening now. And I also want to say that I think with Anna Meroni, maybe it's something complicated, but I didn't have the opportunity to meet her last July in Milan. I hope one day it will come. But just that I also think that one day we should give a step ahead on the political arena too. In some way. I don't know how, but I think we are a bunch of people very, very willing to work, willing to do something that's for the good. And maybe this is a great idea. And thank you again. And I'm sure Ralitza is going to do it super, super well. And we are going in. Thanks for your support to Ralitza and for your
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you. So to conclude, I have 2 things to say. One, because you were talking about the DESIS Cafe. Also, I would like to invite anyone from you that didn't organize yet the DESIS Cafe to please step forward and send an email to the DESIS coordination, because it will Halitza will receive, and her team. And also to just conclude this, just to be official, and we can put in the minutes of our assembly. We should vote for the new coordinator. So anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, Halitza, you are the new international coordinator of the network. Thank you. I wish you all
Thank you so
I
much.
wish you all the success for this this adventure that you will start now with Samuel and Benjamin. They are the 2 yes here. Thank you very much. And just before we leave, can we take a picture together? Yeah. Let me take my glasses out. So 1, 2, 3, smiling faces. And I'm going to take another one because there are 2 pages. 1, 2, 3, again, smiling faces. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support, really, from my heart. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Ciao.
Holidays.
Nice
Yeah.
holidays.
So much for the
Bye-bye.
opportunity. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.